everyone. Namaste. I'm Sneha and welcome to podcast by Sneha powered by Oh My Dog. Today is our third episode, and just like the last one, this is also an extremely important and very special episode. And we'll be talking about something which is a big part of animal health, and a lot of times it goes unnoticed, and there are so many myths and prejudices attached to this particular disease when it comes to recovering from it for animals and their life after that. We are going to talk about canine distemper and a lot of things associated with that. And for that, we have an expert here today. We have Garima Solanki, who has been working with canine distemper, recovered dogs and dogs who are still suffering from CD for a long time, and she's been into animal welfare for more than 15 years. She's also a full-time tea worker, but she has India's first canine distemper rehab center in Bangalore called BDRC, and it started in the year 2023, and she has saved multiple lives for more than 380 to 400 dogs over so many years, and there has been a lot of learning attached to it. We would like to hear all about it from Garima herself, and she's here today. Thank you so much, Garima, for
Thank you so much.
coming to our podcast. I am also meeting someone who specifically works with CD recovered and CD suffering dogs. Welcome, and I'd
Thank you
like
so
to
much.
just tell us something about how you started this journey and what you do and what CD is all about.
Thank you so much, first of all, for having me here.
Yeah.
You did mention an expert, but I'm not sure about it. But yes, in last 2 years and 2.5 years, we have seen many cases. So yes, a lot of experience with CD dogs. So to start with, CD basically stands for canine distemper. It's a viral disease. For people who don't know much about dogs or how the disease it's infectious. We can say how we had COVID in humans. It's very similar to in dogs. First of all, it doesn't transmit to humans, so it's only between animals, between dogs, canine. A viral disease, highly infectious, and it's fatal because there is no cure. There is no cure for it.
Right.
So yes, you also mentioned that I've been rescuing for 15 years, and all this while I experienced many dogs with CD, some CD survivors, some infected with CD who could not make it. And the sad part was that there was no one to help them, to give them any comfort. And from that pain, when in September 2023, I was very determined to start something on a bigger platform. So that's what I thought. Okay, this is the time. Though Bangalore has many shelters, but when it comes to CD, is very less. Like there's nobody to help them. So from there it started.
So did you are you also a pet parent? Do you have you had pets always?
Yes. So I grew up with a pet. His name was Crystal. He passed away last year. He was 16 years old.
Wow.
So compassion for animals, I would say it came because we grew up in an environment where our grandparents, we were surrounded by cattle and strays. And I vividly remember my uncle, whenever he used to eat in the evening, he will always keep like a chapati for the stray dog. So compassion, I would say it was there ingrained in us. Then yes, my pet Crystal came into my life, and from there the love for dogs was like even more. The intensity was even more. So yes,
that's some lovely work that you're doing. We'll come to the organization that you've built, and a lot of other questions that many people I'm sure would want to know. With my little idea about CD, I think, of course, like you mentioned, it's a deadly disease. It's a fatal disease, and lot of dogs who are lucky enough to survive, we find it very difficult to find them a home, because I especially work in trying to rehome dogs. We find a lot of difficulty in rehoming any dog with a disability or a medical condition. I have seen it personally with CD recovered dogs. It's extremely difficult. So
Yes.
do you want to share any of your, or give, like, just share an insight of yours of what, why do you think that happens?
Okay. So, CD virus
Mm-hmm.
basically attacks the nervous system of the animal and three different systems: respiratory system, then gastrointestinal system, and CNS, central nervous system. So, what it does, it basically damages the nerves, and which is irreversible. It cannot be repaired again. And hence, you will see most of the CD survivors have twitching
Yeah.
over, like, around their jaw area, in the temple area, and some of their limbs. And that leads to other issues, like because of constant twitching they lose most of their teeth, and then you will see some of the CD survivors have their tongue hanging out.
Yeah.
And then what that means is that they cannot chew any hard food, so you have to give them semi liquid or mushy food. That's one. And second, their immunity has been compromised, so they are prone to diseases like common cold and fever and tick fever, even, like, more. These are the things that makes it very difficult to look after a CD survivor.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think anybody who's looking after a CD survivor is, doing an amazing job.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think all viewers, whoever is watching us today, should learn more about CD. And I mean, it doesn't matter which
Mhm.
dog is healthy or unhealthy. It's
Mhm.
again, like you said, compassion and taking care of them is what is most important. And if you are aware of this, which is what the idea is behind this podcast, is to make people aware of these kind of diseases.
Mhm.
So the more aware you are, the more better equipped
That's
you will
true.
be able
That's
to.
true. I think awareness plays a critical role
Mhm.
in any space,
Right.
but with CD, I think is very very important. Also because there is no cure, there is only preventive measures that we can take.
Yeah.
So as in, like, the more awareness we can create around
Right.
it, more pets and more strays
Correct.
and community dogs we can help.
Lovely, lovely. So I have a few questions about your animal welfare journey. So basically, you've been rescuing for so many years, so many years. Was there a turning point in your life where you thought that this is not just a hobby? So initially, like when you started, maybe just because your love for dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So there a moment where you realized that okay, this is just not something that you love to do. It is something which is like your life. So was there any such moment?
Yes, I would say, going back, I grew up in a family, who are very very loving. I don't know if conservative is a right word, but yes, they were very, protective of you.
Hmm.
And also was conditioned. There's a safe path where people say, okay, you have to study,
Yeah.
then you have to get a job, and you have to get married, and you have to have
Yeah.
kids and things like that. So I also followed, most of it. And there was a point when I was, I think, 25, 26, and I think I had a very decent life. Like, I was graduated, I
Hmm.
was working, I was earning,
Hmm.
I had moved to Bangalore, I was married. Everything was right in life, but still, there was something missing in me. And during that time, I realized that whenever I am there helping an animal is where I feel myself.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think I would say that was
That
my
was
that was
the,
the point where,
yeah.
I realized that, if I can say, quarter life crisis happened, and then I realized, yes,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know serving voiceless is my purpose. And since
100%. Yeah.
then, like, I'm in it
Yeah, I
100%.
think it's very similar for me also. I'm 41 years old.
Mm.
I haven't really grown up with animals, but I've had pets
Mhm.
before also. But yeah, like I was also in a position where I was like in a normal, stable job, relationship, and everything. But yeah, after the point, you just start feeling that something is not connecting,
Correct.
some little
Yeah,
thing.
there's a
And
void.
that's when I realized, of course, when I started working and I had my first pet,
Mm.
I just realized that nurturing part and that
Correct.
thing that you just cannot see them being hurt
Correct.
in any way,
Mhm.
so, and you
Mhm.
always have to be immediately there for that dog or that cat who's being in, suffering from something. So I think, yeah, that's like a very well, that's a very right place that kind of hits us, and
Correct.
we just know that okay, this is going to be a big part of our life.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
glad that you and I, we both
Yes, yes,
got there.
100%. Yeah. So most people would have chosen a safer path like career, family,
Mm.
stability. What made you break that conditioning, if you can share? And make this a purpose?
Mhm.
Or was it difficult to choose that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think anybody who's in this space would
Mm.
agree with me. It is challenging every day, you know,
Yeah.
like emotional drainage is there. You're fighting with your spouses, with your family. Sometimes they do support, sometimes they don't. For your betterment, it's not
Yeah.
like they're opposing you.
Mm.
Then fundraising is there, then adoptions is there. So, yes, it's full of challenges. But why I chose this space is I realize, when you see if there is a person who meets with an accident, right? What happened? There'll be at least 10 people who'll be looking after it. Oh, what happened? Let me
Mm.
take you to the, hospital.
Yeah.
But when that happens to an animal, hardly
Hardly.
one or two.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where it hits me that we
Yeah.
need them.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's humans, unfortunately, who just
Correct. So we have
causes
to,
those.
correct. So we have to, the ratio I want to be increased.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, correct,
yes.
correct.
So I would say yes, that was the main thing,
Hmm.
and like I said, I mean, I had a quarter life crisis, and that's when I realized that when I am with an animal, helping them is when I felt most content
Yeah.
and most myself, and
Hmm.
that's when I realized it.
Yeah.
Probably this is
Yeah.
is for me.
Yeah, I think this is what we also try to incorporate this thing, that message in workshops also, that everybody cannot do all kind. I mean, everyone's not equipped to help animals in every single
Right.
way.
Yes.
But if all of us start doing little bits,
Yes.
then it will ultimately be a culmination of lot of
Correct.
things, right?
Yeah, it's
So
always a community which
correct,
comes
correct.
together and
Yeah,
help.
yeah. And I think the
And
next generation should learn from today to reach that position mentally and physically, to be able to
yes,
prioritize animal welfare also.
correct.
So yeah. So let's talk about BDRC, which is distemper rehab center, right? So canine distemper rehab center. So starting India's first such a rehab sounds like a crazy leap of faith. What was going through your head when you decided to put your own savings on the line and all of that?
Honestly, it was a lot of fear and a lot of hope. But yes, so I've been in rescues for almost 13, 12, 13 years, and I always wanted to do something on a bigger platform. Before that, it was as an individual. I used to take care of animals, any
Mm.
injured animal, take them, treat them, and release them back. So that's always been my style of rescuing, treat and release. And then when I wanted to do something on a bigger platform, I realized that yes, when it comes to CD, there is nobody. There is nobody, not even sometimes. I'm telling you, most of my CD rescues had to die on road because even a vet would refuse to come and euthanize them.
Mm.
It was that bad. So it all came from that pain, that experience, that I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
So yes, that's how it started. But it was a lot of, it is still a lot of challenge,
Mm.
full of struggle. What I would say, you need compassion to do something like this, but that came naturally also because as women, I think
Yeah.
that's we have that sense of nurturing.
Mm.
But the courage that I showed, and I continued to show it for 2 months. Whatever came my way, is like, it's okay, chuck, 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 like, we'll do it. That is something I give myself credit for. And I think with that compassion and courage, BDRC happened in
Yes.
November 2023. That's when we had our first case. And I had help from, some dear friends, very close friends. But yes, most of it, I pulled in all my savings. I started it.
Mm.
I had pledged that for first year of its operations, I will fund it no matter
Mm.
what. And I did it.
Yeah, that's so wonderful, because it's not easy for
It's not.
anyone to start anything, any kind of a venture,
Mm-hmm.
putting in all their savings,
Correct.
because there has to be a sense of purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would obviously like people to see that
Mm-hmm.
in stories like yours, and where the effort and the determination and all of that came. And then, of course, it's always great to have help from people. And
Correct.
but yeah, I mean, definitely people have to understand the reason behind why you are doing this, and then help will come on
Yes.
its own. So I hope you are able to get that help from going
Yes.
onwards, from
Yes,
now.
I should mention, and I mentioned it earlier also.
Hmm.
It is, culmination. Like it's everybody coming together.
Yes.
It's a whole community. It's not me. I'm telling you. Like I do only what probably 10-20% of it,
Hmm.
and I have a team. Like they are there day in day out, and without
Yeah.
them, this would not be possible. Then I have
Yes.
some close friends who help us on monthly basis. Then we
Hmm.
have people,
Hmm.
who, and people like you. I mean, awareness is
Yeah.
again a very big thing. So yes, it's it's everybody coming together. That's the only way that
Hmm. Hmm.
anything like BDRC can work and
Yeah.
continue to work.
Yeah. So do you guys also get funding, or are you reaching out for more funding?
So we are ATG certified, but then we need another certificate to reach out to, like, let's say for CSR
Hmm.
activity or CSR funding, and that we can only apply after 3 years of running.
Okay.
So we have another 2 years
Yes.
for that.
Right.
But then right now our funding is all on individual basis,
Individual
on
and like
on
internal circle.
yes, internal circle, or whenever a dog comes. So we don't charge anything as such
Hmm.
fee,
Hmm.
but then we always appeal them, like if they can donate some.
Something.
So some
Yes.
people are in a position to do it, some are not, you know. But then that does help. Like any penny, every penny
Absolutely.
that comes
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
helps.
So to our viewers, of course, we will mention the your website or any
Yes.
page that BDRC have, and we will put it across in the video. So if anyone wants to go check
Yes, please.
them out, have a look what of the work you do, please go visit them, see the kind of work they do, and please help in whatever way possible. We also try, to raise funds in the sense, like do small fundraisers through open mics and things like that.
Oh, nice.
We've done that couple of times before, or just collect old things which can be
Yes.
of help.
Yes.
So we will definitely appeal to people also for your organization, because of the in-house dogs that you have. I'm sure you will always need
Yes.
bowls, beds, blankets, sheets, anything that is old. You can always contact me, and we will make sure that it reaches Garima.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah,
Means a
and you
lot.
can directly go there and donate as well,
Yes.
in kind or in whatever possible way.
Thank
So
you so much.
yeah, I mean, we would love to do something like that. We always encourage to not waste things. Even in the
Correct.
schools, when we give workshops, we tell them that every day we are wasting some food.
Correct.
Why are you wasting it? Keep
Mhm.
it in a box, just leave it on the street. Some dog or cat is going to eat it.
Correct.
And or like if you have clothes that you're throwing off, and blankets and old utensils, better
Correct.
give it in a shelter where the dogs can eat from those bowls, or just sleep on a mat, or even give it to a street dog who's a
Yes.
regular outside on the street.
I think it's a very thoughtful way that you're doing it, especially if we can inculcate this with kids,
Yes,
with
yes,
our coming
100%.
generation. That would really help. So, yeah.
Lovely. Great work that you are doing,
you.
and many congratulations for whatever you have been able to do. We often, don't look at our work or achievements of how much ever we have done, even if it doesn't reach to a very higher position at the moment. Like you said, for CSR activities, you have to complete like a certain amount of time. Even then, whatever you've been able to do till now, how many ever dogs you've been able to save, that's like a great, it's a great addition value to your life, to their life.
Yes, I mean, I am super proud
You should
of
be.
our entire organization, of my team,
Yes.
that till date, at like 389 dogs we could serve, with CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, they were great work, and we will definitely make sure that you can be a part of our workshops. And whenever you can't be, I will specifically talk about the work that you do, because it is important for kids to know that there are organizations like this where they can at least go visit. I remember when I was not a pet parent, I used to have quite regular visits to places like Cuba, where just to see how
Okay.
they are kept, and why they are like that, and what do they have. And it obviously, gave a lot of understanding and knowledge about
Mhm.
what happens, what are the
Mhm.
stories behind these
Mhm.
dogs. So it's important for kids or
Yes.
even adults to visit these places
Yeah.
first. It's not just about donation or anything. It's about going and being present there physically. Physically also, I'm sure you would always need a lot of volunteers,
Yes.
often need people to help around.
Yeah.
So that's also so important.
Yeah, so we do have, volunteer sessions
Hmm.
where they come and they groom the dogs, they play with them,
Lovely.
some admin work,
Hmm.
painting work,
Hmm.
things like that. And you rightly said awareness is very important,
Hmm.
more so in this case because, like I mentioned, first of all, CD is highly contagious and
Hmm.
it's airborne.
Hmm.
The virus is airborne. So if there is an animal and in the same vicinity there's another animal, it can
will.
get transferred to them through
Hmm.
their nasal droplets and also through air. And awareness is also very important because there is a preventive way, there is a preventive measure that we can take because it is a deadly disease in the sense the symptoms are very bad
Hmm.
and it is so fatal. In some cases, a very healthy dog dies within 10 days. Within 10
Wow.
days, they deteriorate so much and
Hmm.
they succumb.
Yeah.
So if we can, like, if there is a way to prevent that, why not?
Of course.
And only
Definitely.
awareness can,
Definitely.
can help
Definitely.
that. So there is a vaccination that, whoever comes and whoever I speak to, I make sure that I tell them, to all the pet parents, to all the feeders, to all the rescuers, please vaccinate all your dogs with 9-in-1 or 7-in-1 or DHPP
100%.
against, which is against distemper,
Yeah.
because that's the only way.
Yes, yeah, that's the only preventive measure.
Yes.
And even us, when we organize these adoption drives, I make very sure I ask each one of them to show me their vaccination
Yes.
records, the animals that they're rescuing and getting, because a lot of times they are not aware and they don't get them vaccinated.
Correct.
And the initial vaccinations are so important.
Mhm.
And I make sure that if you are not vaccinating them, you will not be able to get them adopted.
Yes.
I will not make sure that they cannot come to those
Yes.
drives, because it, as a human, since you have rescued that dog, it's
Mhm.
your responsibility to get them health checked and vaccinated, and keep all the other dogs and that particular dog safe.
Mhm.
So yes, very very important, the vaccination part, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, amazing work that you are doing. I'd love to know more about you, and visit your organization someday. One more question I was curious about was that, like, what was there a particular dog or a rescue story that convinced you this center was rescued, or it was just an overall experience that you've seen with dogs with such kind of diseases?
I think each and every dog that has come to us
Hmm.
has made sure to all of us that yes, this was much needed. Because it's not just we are rescuing that one particular dog. Like I said, it's highly contagious. Isolation is very, very important.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, when we started BDRC, the main goals were, first is to give them some comfort. That even if they have to die, they shouldn't die on road without any comfort.
Yes.
Then second is, since it's contagious, when you isolate them, you are basically helping the other dogs.
Absolutely.
So yes, every dog that we pick up, it's a testament that yes, this
And I
place
think,
is much needed.
yeah, like you said, that it is just like COVID, right?
Yes,
But it
yes.
has been there in lives of animals and dogs for such a long time before COVID hit humans, right? That isolation part and all of that, it was so important. So why shouldn't humans understand that about animals? And definitely, I mean, it is so important to talk about it.
Yes.
So can you walk us like through a typical day at BDRC? How does this life beyond those gates look like?
Okay, so I think it's full of chaos and miracles. A day starts usually around 7:30 in the morning, where we check on every dog. We check their temperature, then we clean them because paralysis is a very common symptom. So we have many dogs who are paralyzed. So we change their diapers, we clean them, then we start with our feeding around 8:30, then cleaning of the place. Then we have all the treatments and we give them supplements and everything that goes on till afternoon 12 or 1. Then all the doggos, they take a nap. So that's a time where they relax. Then we have during afternoon they get treats. So we have afternoon treats with them, that followed by physiotherapy for the dogs who are not able to walk. And in the evening, then we have another set. We feed them twice, so another round of feeding.
Yeah.
And then yes, I mean, if there is a new dog that has come, so we make sure that he or she is being settled and given the right care. And then yes, then we end with probably a cup of tea for all of us.
That sounds like such a, I don't know, such a constructive day, such a fulfilling day.
It is. Unfortunately, I'm there only on weekends, but then yes, my team is there day in,
Yes.
day out. And
Yes.
again, I just want to mention, and
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to my team. One thing with CD is, since there is no cure, so what we do at the center, first of all, we give them a space. Like, okay, this is your space,
It's a
you
safe
can feel
space.
comfortable,
Yeah.
safe. Then you give them a very nutritious food, and you give them supplements, or if they have any secondary infections. But then apart from that, if they have the will to survive, that really helps. And that only comes then, when the team is very,
Yes.
very compassionate.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, they have empathy. I just want to say it out loud. Kudos to my team. They are very compassionate, and only because of them we could see close to 180 cases where they survived.
Yes.
And they are there day in, day out. I have no idea how they do it, because it comes with a lot of emotional drainage as well.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to mention that the success rate or the survival rate in CD is only 40-45. Only 40-45% cases survive. Other, no matter what you do, they succumb. So it brings a lot of emotional drainage.
100%.
And the toughest is small puppies. So one of the main reasons, or one of the main, how would I say it, that an animal makes a recovery is if their immunity is strong. And with puppies, since their immunity is still building up, the chances of survival is only 5%, even lower.
Wow.
So we get puppies who are just probably 30 days, 45 days old, and they just die in our arms, and it's just so like heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
It
and
is.
It's so that's why, I mean, it's such a thin line between animal welfare, mental health, which is
Yes.
also one big part that we try to talk about during the awareness.
Correct.
That people who work in the sector, who are into the field job every single day, how mentally draining it can be.
It is.
Whereas when a usual day-to-day person adopts a dog, how beneficial it is. I mean, it's such a contradicting thing, because
Correct.
the same animal can cause you a lot of grief, but also can teach you about compassion and kindness if you are kind to them, if you
Yes.
just learn to live with them and coexist with them. So yeah, mental health definitely is a huge part of the work that you do. I mean, so kudos to you, your team, who's doing this every single day.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether the number of dogs are thousands or 200 or even two, but even one life, if you are able to save, that's like more than enough. Because for me also, I mean, I'm not a rescuer, so I will never take credit of going down on the road and picking up a dog and literally rescuing. But I try to be the connect. I try to be
Which is very important.
the bridge. Sometimes if I'm not in a position, so I try to connect someone to someone. And I have done certain kinds of, how would I call that, like silent rescuing that way, wherein I haven't done it physically, but I've connected the right set of people.
Which is a huge help.
And the dog has at least been taken off the road and given a safe space. So that's and I've also faced ridicule because of that from many people saying that I run a business, so why am I doing this? Why is it because the name of my business or whatever? But yeah, I mean, my thought process is that through my business and through the name of a brand, if I'm able to get that exposure and able to get that reach to people, which is ultimately helping a dog or a cat, so why wouldn't I do that?
Yes, I think we need each and everybody to come and do whatever they can do in their capacity.
100%,
You don't have to be a rescuer at the end. If you can just help with fostering, if you can help with, like you say, coordinating, if you can help with donations, anything, like, or most
or
of the
just
time
just be
like,
be
don't harm. That's all.
or stop somebody from, if you're looking at them,
yes, that's a huge help too.
This is what I tell the children so much, that if you see anyone, just call for help.
Correct.
tell your parent to ask
Mm.
somebody, that person to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what is so important. It's a long journey, the awareness part itself.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, I mean, we'll have to keep doing it, and
Correct.
hope people like you are able to do this, as and when. And yeah, like you said, do it slow and then
Yes.
build it up,
Correct.
rather than rushing into it.
Yes.
Right. So this we have literally have spoken about the heartbreak that goes behind
Mm-hmm.
rescuing and working with a CD recovered dog, or a dog with CD. So how do you take care, or your team rather,
Mhm.
how do you make sure that your team or you take care of your mental health? Like,
Mhm.
do you guys do some
Uh,
kind of ritual or some kind of practice that keeps you motivated, and also like
See, so first of all, we go through it. We don't try to suppress it.
mm,
Every dog that we lose, we sometimes cry, if not literally, like, silently.
mm,
We go through that phase. And then what keeps us going is the other, which still have, some chances, some hope,
mm,
and the ones who have shown some recovery.
yeah,
So
like focusing on the
that's what keeps us
yeah.
going.
Mm,
Then for my team, I try to make sure that they get some break, from their this day to day, because it is bound to happen that
yeah.
they will get drained. So yes, that's what I focus on. I make sure I treat them with some good food or take them
100%,
out
yes.
and give them breaks, and that's what. So we have these volunteer sessions where volunteers come and take over, and then I give them a day off, like,
Oh,
hey,
that's lovely.
why don't you go, and
That's lovely.
there's a resort next by, why don't you just go and spend a day? So
Mm.
that's very important. Those
Yes.
breaks are very important.
Yes.
So that's what we try to do, and yes, it has worked so far. And
Yeah.
touch
And
wood.
what do you do
For me, I come and talk to you
to
here.
de-stress from so much of
So my way of de-stressing is long walks
Mm.
and music therapy. Like, for me, one thing that I cannot live without is music.
lovely.
So that's one. I play sports, and I also now, like, for first 2 years I couldn't do it, because it was all starting. We were still maturing as a team, as an organization, and to be very honest, I just jumped into it. Like, I have no
Planning.
training or nothing, like how to manage. It was all like raw, thrown
Yeah.
at me, and I just
Yeah.
took it. So yes, initially I couldn't, but now I try to make sure that I at least take one day out just for
Yes.
myself,
Yes.
and I go out and meet with friends. And
Yes.
traveling is another thing that
Yeah.
really I like to do, but I'm not able to do as much as I would like to. But
Yeah.
yes, these are
Yeah.
my ways to.
I think so. I mean, it's definitely very important, especially when we work in a sector like this, which is so emotionally, draining, and emotionally also very vulnerable. Makes us also very vulnerable, I think.
Mhm.
So to take better care of them, it's
Mhm.
important that you take care of yourself first,
Yes.
which is what the energy that even they are going to take from us.
Yes.
Right?
But I should also mention that sometimes I feel better when I am at the shelter.
Correct. Of
I
course.
just go. Some days, if I'm just feeling low, I'll just pick up my car and I
Go there.
go there. And as soon as you enter, like all of them
Yes,
around you.
yes,
So
yes.
so I feel like, in nutshell, they are, at least in my case, they are the ones who are helping me.
Of
It's the
Yes.
other way around.
Yeah,
So
it's always the other way around.
yes.
I think. Yeah. So, what's the toughest part? Funding, or finding a space, or just fighting with people's arrogance and their perspectives and
Wow. Yeah,
prejudices?
that's a tough one. I think all of them. But what hurts the most is the mindset.
Yeah.
Also, because there's also a phobia. Like, I am not denying that CD is highly contagious, it's fatal, it's very risky. But then I also see there's a lot of phobia which has created around it, especially for CD survivors. I mean, they are being treated as untouchables. People just shoo them. They don't want to help them. And whereas they need more attention. Like I said, they, sometimes they're not able to eat the hard food. So they are like special kids.
Yes.
And on contrary, what we do, we basically shoo them away. We treat them like untouchables. So to change that mindset is, I feel, is the toughest for me. Funds, yes, always, but then I feel like funds can be generated, space can be found, but to change the mindset, it
Yeah.
will take a much longer
Much
time.
longer time.
I mean, the fact that I am here and talking to you, it's
It's
like,
a part of the,
it's a part of it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's I feel is the most challenging part.
100%. I think we are all so conditioned in just learning, relearning, and
Correct.
all of that.
Yeah.
But I think it's high time when it comes to animals and
Mhm.
welfare for animals. It's important that people unlearn the conditioning that they've had
Correct.
and relearn new
Mhm.
things. Because it's so, like, there are so many warriors who are fighting for
Yes.
animal rights,
Yes.
and it's high time that.
Yes. And with right sets of precautions, if you take, you can deal with it.
Yes, of
So
course. Yeah.
that's where I feel like that awareness is very, very important.
Correct.
With awareness, you can probably change the mindset. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
looking forward to that. I hope that this
Yeah, I hope
this
so. I really, really
podcast
hope
really
so.
helps.
Yeah. Okay. So, where has there been a moment when you have wanted to give up in this entire phase? Like you were saying, there are so many challenges attached to it. Did you ever feel like giving up and it's not working and it's just not worth it? Ever felt like that during this whole journey?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I will ever reach that point.
That's really good.
Sometimes I may not be able to do it, at a pace that I'm able to do, or at the platform that I'm able to do, or at the big number that we are able to do, or we will be able to do. But I think I have pledged my life to them, so I don't think so. I have never regretted a day, and I don't think so I will ever
Feel like
I
giving
will
up.
feel like that I want to
Yeah,
give
that's-
them. I mean, this is not just me. I think once you're a rescuer, you're always a rescuer. Even if you want to take a break and you see an animal in front of you, you just can't help yourself.
Exactly.
You just like I said, it can change,
Yeah.
the way you can help.
Yes.
But yes, I mean, I don't want to
Yeah.
ever be in that situation in my life where I have to
Yes,
choose. So
yes. No, that's so wonderful. I hope someday, at least some people start thinking like this. It will change a lot of things. So that's what we need to keep on talking about it more
Correct.
and more in whatever platforms possible, basically. So just wanted to know if there is any particular story or an incident that you want to share about a recovered dog which has been like a miracle and now lives a healthy life and something like that, some miracle which you felt happened.
Okay, so I want to start with that every CD survivor is a miracle.
Yeah.
Also, because in most of the countries, the protocol is basically to put them down, it's to euthanize them because it's so contagious and fatal. So every recovery that happens, not only at BDRC, but you have seen, some dogs they just recover on road. It is basically a miracle. One particular case that I would like to talk is Lily. She is I don't want to say my favorite. All of them are my favorite. It's very difficult to say, but then yes,
Yeah.
she's a little more closer to all of us. And yes, the way she fought, I feel that yes. I mean, there were many points where we felt like that maybe it's not going to, she's not going to survive it. So she had come with CD symptoms. She was not able to eat. She was hardly active. So much so her jaws were locked. She was not able to eat, and we had to basically put a food pipe directly into her stomach so that because so what happens when they are not able to eat because their jaws are locked, we basically syringe feed. We grind the food and then we give it through syringe. But in her case, even that was not happening. It was not going through down her throat. We put a pipe and everything, and she was like on bed paralyzed for close to 4 months, 4 to 5 months. But all this while, one thing is, whenever you call her name, she will wag her tail. Oh god, I mean, she's just the most lovable dog that I've ever come across. Yes, so I think Lily's case is, she's one of those dogs who had that will. She made it. She's with us. She's one of our first residents. Also because she has this condition where she cannot go back on road. But then yes, I would say Lily is.
Yeah, I think she's
she
like a
showed
living
she's very-
miracle for the
yes,
rest of the
yes,
dogs who
she's
are
so
coming.
brave, and now she's like the princess. Whenever I go, she wants my attention, and if anybody else comes around, has to fight with her.
That is so inspiring, so amazing. I mean, these dogs, I
Yeah.
usually take my dogs with me to these sessions, but of course my dogs have a different story, but there are so many tougher stories, and I think these dogs should be there in these kind
Yes.
of forums where the conversations are going on, because people, we hear so many inspirational stories about humans who have
Yes.
fought through such fatal illnesses and
Mhm.
very very severe conditions, and they become an epitome of inspiration for people all around the world. So why can't we do
Yes,
that
I
with
think we have
dogs?
to. We have to. I
Yeah.
mean, another thing that I learned day in, day out with these dogs, the resilience that they
Mm.
have,
Mm.
it's just like how much they endure.
Correct.
I've seen so many dogs, they are like wounded, have
Mm.
fractured legs, and but still, like, if you just give
If you,
them little bit
yeah, they'll
love,
just
they'll run
come
with
to
it.
you
So
and
I
yeah.
just have no idea how they do it.
I know. Yeah. And of course the flip side is, if the dog is not made it, and like you said, majority do not make it, so that also of course leaves a deep scar on you. So I'm hoping the ways that we discussed before, the managing way, the coping mechanism is the same for every dog, or has there been any specific dog for whom because of whose loss there has been a greater impact, or something is born out, something is born out of that tragedy? Anything of that sort ever happened to any you or any of your team members or anything?
Like I said, it's with puppies is very very heartbreaking because they're just like, I mean, right now also we have two cases. We have two puppies. They are just like 35 to 40 days old, and it's so heartbreaking to see them because they are in constant pain, and we just want to do our best.
So you said animal welfare isn't charity, it's justice. Can you unpack that, explain that a little bit for our viewers?
Okay, so what I believe is that Mother Earth belongs to each and every living being, but somewhere we feel like humans feel like we have an upper hand in terms of how we can treat animals and know what we can do. We can control them, we can confine them. So on basis that, I feel like everybody deserves freedom to be fed and to be like at however they want to feel happiness. And that's why I feel that when people do help animals, it's not like they are doing a favor to them. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a charity that you are doing. It's basically a
It's a basic
responsibility.
right, yeah.
We mostly talk about, and most of the times talk about conflict resolution. How we have human animal conflict and we should coexist. So yes, that's the greater goal. But my mindset is that they deserve, like each and every animal deserve to be happy, to be fed, to be free. So we shouldn't portray as if we are helping them. Like, it's not a charity that you're doing, it's basically a responsibility that you have.
And
I
this
mean,
is,
everybody's
yeah, and this
duty
is
and
like a
responsibility.
basic thing that which is basic for any
Yes,
human should be
yes.
basic for animals, because at the end of the day we are both living creatures.
Correct.
So yeah, totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I hope more and more people understand that with time. So just want to understand this also, that what do you wish more people understood about street dogs or dogs with CD? According to you, what do you think people needs to be more understanding about,
Okay, so
compared to like dogs that they have at home?
yeah, I think how to help them. First of all, to differentiate between a dog who has CD, who is a CD survivor. So there are very clear symptoms. A CD active dog, first of all, will be lethargic. In most of the time, most of the cases, they have paralysis. They have active secretion from their eyes and nasal cavity. Then twitching is something that can can happen in active and survivors as well. So I think to differentiate, and once you know that, how to help them. So now we are there, but we have limited space, limited funds, limited resources. But then so far we have tried that each and every call that has come to us, we are able to help. In some cases we had to say no, unfortunately, but yes, we are working. And I mean, I want to appeal again that for everybody to come together and to help us so that we can help them. So that's one. And yes, for CD survivors, please help them because they do really need your help.
Yeah, at least
So
to
that's
take them to a hospital and get it
correct.
started with.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think just if they know this, it will really help dogs with CD.
Sure, sure. If you just to end the conversation or just sum it up, just a few very light questions because we've spoken about such deep things.
Okay.
So say because you have like a corporate job life and then you
Mhm.
have a social welfare life.
Mhm.
Do you ever feel like you are switching between two lives and
Mhm.
living two different lives?
Certainly, in one way I have to deal with humans, another I have to deal
Yeah.
with animals. I like the part where I have to deal with animals. But do I feel like I am living a two life? Not really. You know, I feel like that I am very thankful, to have a job because
Mm.
that's what fueling me and
Yes.
fueling the, the passion that I have, the ambition that I have with BDRC.
Mm.
So one is that, and one fuels the shelter, and that fuels my soul.
Yeah.
So that's
Wonderful
the
answer.
that's the cycle, and
Yeah.
I am very grateful for that.
That's great. That's great. If you weren't rescuing animals, where do you think your life would have taken you? I know you probably can't imagine your life without rescuing them, but in just in case.
I think I'll be a traveler. That's one thing that that
Hmm.
unwinds me much. So if
If this was not
for
your life, then
yes,
yeah, you'd
yes.
probably be
So
traveling.
yeah, traveling the world.
Lovely. While traveling, also you may have, been able to help a lot of other animals
Yes,
on the way.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So we've spoken about what gives you hope when there are tough times and all. You said that, of course, like even if you are able to help one dog and not help the other, but you have to move on and focus on the next animal so that.
Mhm.
So is there any other motivational factor apart from this that keeps you going,
Mhm.
keeps you have continue your belief in BDRC or the cause behind it?
I think one is how much we know. We are basically India's first,
Mm.
and I'm not sure because I do get call from other countries as well. Like
Okay.
I have been reached out from someone from Malaysia, and just last week I had a call from someone from Slovakia.
Oh, wow.
So I think that gives me a sense of responsibility that
Your
I
voice
think,
is reaching out.
yes. I mean, not that we are an expert, but then now we have enough experience to basically to transfer that knowledge, that what
Yeah.
has worked, what has not worked. And I do get call from all over India. Like I don't think there's any state that I have not,
Mm.
gotten a call from.
Right.
Some pet parents as well. So I think that's another motivation for me to keep going.
Mm.
And yes, more than that, any animal, any dog that I see with CD or otherwise is just gives me more and more motivation to be there. To like I'm literally, my mind is always working. What can I do? How can I do to make
Mm.
make it work in a bigger capacity to help more and more animals. So
So having said that, what is the next step for BDRC? Are you ever planning to expand it to other cities or any
yeah.
project that you have
Mm.
planned for in the future?
Cities, as of now, no. Also because, like I mentioned, I started very small.
Hmm.
We have a capacity of 30. I started as rehab, but over last 2 years, I've realized that we need to have a sanctuary as well for because not
Hmm.
all the survivors can go back on roads.
Yeah.
So, having said that, my next goal is to have a bigger space to
Hmm.
expand BDRC, and again, I don't know how will it happen. Not that I have funds or resources or any experience in that end, but then yes, I have the passion and determination and sure love from all the animals,
Yes.
and it will happen. So yes, right now the goal is to expand it to have a bigger space where we can at least accommodate all the CD active cases and CD survivors who need help,
Beyond the treatment, yeah.
at least in
Yeah.
Bangalore.
No, I absolutely hope and wish that you get that kind of help,
Thank
or
you so much.
just with some door opens up and with
Yes.
that kind of determination and planning, BDRC goes a long way.
Thank you so much.
We will support as much as possible. We will appeal to everyone who can support
Mhm.
BDRC in its journey, and I think I'm so thankful that you came here and you spoke about it. I feel very proud that I've started this now, because if I'm able to get these conversations out there, then definitely it is meant to be, and
Yes.
these are things that should be spoken about.
Yes.
And so thankful for you to coming down and doing this.
Thank you so much, Sneha. You are doing a very good job. Like I said,
Thank you.
awareness is the key to anything. If you want to bring a change, awareness is the first step. So I think you
Yes.
have touched the right space,
Yeah.
and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Garima. Thank you, and
Yes.
so wishing you the same.
Mhm.
And any parting words, anything meaningful that you want to tell the viewers, whoever is watching, and who have experienced
Mhm.
themselves working and having CD dogs.
Yeah, I think I am just going to reiterate few things. One
Mhm.
is please vaccinate all your pets if you have all these strays, community dogs that you're looking after. If you're a feeder, if you're a rescuer, if you're a pet parent, please do vaccinate them against CD and other deadly diseases, and give a little more love to CD survivors.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like just like Garima said, yes, that's the same wish from me, and not just to CD, to every dog, of course, and
Mhm.
special love to the
Mhm.
ones who are suffering from something as deadly as this. They need extra care and extra love, just like all humans who are going through some kind of a disease or ailment. And I would just to say that I'm very very happy that we are able to do this, and in future we will try to get more conversations out there, not just about CD, about
Mhm.
so many other things related to animal welfare. Once again, we are about to end this episode right here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe our channel to watch our videos and learn some very meaningful and insightful things. Always remember, information and awareness is the key for any kind of success, whether it is to do with animal welfare or anything else related to our lives.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.